Metal Gear Solid. Released on September 3rd, 1998 as a follow-up for the games Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Despite being the third game in the franchise, this game itself forged its own legacy that transcended its predecessors. This game, written, produced, and directed by the notorious Hideo Kojima, sold 7 million copies and spawned not only its own sequels, but media adaptations such as novels, comics, and even a radio drama. Does it still deserve all the praise it gets? Or is it just nostalgia that's keeping this game relevant?
Aw, baby. Ah! I guess that counts as ah! Okay, wait, actually, I'm
Hi gamers! I'm Poppy. I did a little cosplay here for you, just a little bit. I'm a Zoomer. That is someone who was born between the late 1990s and early 2010s. I grew up playing mostly GameCube, Wii, and DS games, and I played Metal Gear Solid for the first time in 2022. Growing up, I definitely heard a lot of people mention and reference Metal Gear Solid, whether it be in Super Smash Bros. Brawl or as a character in my favorite YouTube series.
Nah, we're just looking for depressed people who take orders. Damn it!
I, however, never found myself all that interested in it. Not only because I didn't have a PlayStation growing up, but because generally speaking, I avoided games that I thought would have a lot of combat. So going into this, all I really knew was the hiding in a box stealth missions as referenced in Paper Mario Color Splash, and that he shotguns. Naturally, I expected there to be a lot of shooting and a lot of focus on combat, and boy was I wrong. Nothing could have prepared me for the game that I was about to play.
damn. Look at that chiseled bone structure. I love a man with no eyes.
Upon loading into the game, it introduces 3 mechanics to you. One, being the radar on the top right of the screen. This is pivotal throughout the entire game. It tells you where enemies are and their line of sight so that you can stealth past them. I found myself looking at this radar almost more than I looked at the actual game screen. The second thing is your inventory system, where you keep all of your important gear, starting off with a scope, 2 rations, and of course, a pack of cigarettes.
Sue's favorite smoking is hazardous to your health.
So right out the gate, the game is really trying to hammer in that Snake is like a cool guy. He gets women, he did crime, and he smokes cigarettes, even though it's hazardous to his health. I wonder if they had to add the hazardous to the health thing in order for the game to be published, or if they chose to do that it's not a completely useless item. It does have some functionality. It can be used to see lasers through the smoke.
Snake, that room is set with infrared sensors. You should be able to see them if you had some smoke. Cigarette smoke or something.
Sorry, but these are smokeless cigarettes.
What?
Why are they smokeless cigarettes? And why did they include an entire part where he's like, yeah, they're smokeless cigarettes though, to cut down on secondhand smoke, but then they can still be used that way? What the f was the point of that? That pisses me off. The third thing it introduces is your codec. This is a very famous Metal Gear item and a huge feature from the game. This is essentially a phone that allows not only the other characters from the game to communicate with Snake, but lets you call the characters. This item is a wonderful way of keeping the player immersed in the game. It's not only used to give the players a way of getting hints inside the game, as well as exposition, it's also the player's main mode of saving, which can be done at any time. Pretty cool, although sometimes the calls get a little long or overbearing.
This is long. Why do I need to learn about railguns?
6.5 hours later.
A standard ballistic missile uses a 2-stage or a 3-stage solid fuel rocket for its
I don't care about this conversation. I don't. The rest of the lore was really, it was fine, but this is really, I'm bored. I'm so bored. I don't care. Just tell me that it's wizard technology and I would have the same reaction. I literally don't give a shit. Get into the oh. You can't get me. Oh, what? He threw a grenade in here. He threw a grenade. I can't see.
Snake, this is McDonald Miller. It's been a long time.
When I announced that I'd be playing this game, the people in my chat came out of the woodwork to inform me that this game is similar to my surprise, Kingdom Hearts. Not because it's Disney friendly, I'll tell you that right away, but because of the bizarre story.
Liquid. What? 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 This is the most bad story I've ever seen.
This story is bananas, cuckoo, bonkers. The best part about it is that it's not just bonkers and crazy for the sake of it. All of the characters are fully fleshed out, and the story has an overarching message and point that it's trying to drive home. It's good writing, I guess. Most of it. Most of it.
Wow, I feel very lucky that I found them.
Be careful. There are claymore mines around there.
Who is this?
Use a mine detector.
What?
Who are you? Just call me Deep Throat.
Deep Throat.
So yeah, that is right. There is a character named Deep Throat. They don't explain it at all. Frankly, I'm scared to look it up. I'm scared to look it up. The characters are definitely one of the parts of this game that make this game special. Not only is our main character interesting, mysterious, and flawed, all the other characters in this game are interesting, including the bosses. Not only that, but we get to see Snake interact with the other characters in a variety of ways.
Could you be Snake? Are you Solid Snake?
That's what some people call me.
The legendary Solid Snake? You?
Oh, she took off her mask.
I wasn't sure if you were one of the good guys.
But I knew you were.
How?
It's your eyes.
My eyes.
They're not soldiers' eyes.
And they're rookie's eyes, right?
No, they're beautiful, compassionate eyes.
Oh, this
That's
guy.
what I'd expect.
This he's a
Very
boy.
Solid Snake.
Oh my
We tried to
god.
sweep-
When I said that the main character was flawed, it's that kind of that I was talking about. Also, maybe not all the characters are interesting. I lied. Meryl is the main love interest in the game, and is quite honestly my least favorite character. She has that Hollywood cool girl trope written all over her, and to me, it's very annoying.
You know, I don't use makeup the way other women do. I hardly ever look at myself in the mirror. I've always despised that kind of woman.
What? I'm literally putting on
I always dreamed of becoming a soldier.
Wow, okay. You're welcome. Where are you going?
Wait!
Why is it just zooming on her butt?
Who are you?
That's the roundest thing they ever made in the game.
She may be plain, but I guess we can't say she isn't a fully developed character.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
More bangers like that here every time. Sorry. This is how we are introduced to my favorite character, Dr. Emmerich, also known as Otacon. He is special for various reasons.
He looks like a main character.
This guy is kind of the worst, but also the best at the same time. For example, his name.
Call me Otacon.
Otacon.
It stands for Otaku Convention. And otaku's a guy like me who likes Japanimation. Japan was the first country to successfully...
Yep, you heard it right. He wants to be referred to as Otacon because of the fact that he self-identifies that hard with being a weeb. But here is why he's the best.
Have you ever loved someone?
What?
That's what you came to ask?
No, I mean, I was wondering if even soldiers fall in love.
What are you trying to
What
say?
is this
I wanted to
question?
ask you, do you think love can bloom even on a battlefield?
Yeah, I do.
What?
His whole issue is that he fell in love with an enemy, Sniper Wolf. Not that Sniper Wolf. This is Sniper Wolf.
You're my special prey. Got it?
What?
Oh, I've left my mark on you. I won't forget it.
Damn, was she a blades for her fingernails?
Sniper Wolf is a badass Russian sniper with a perfect shot. Apparently, after she decides on her next target, she becomes obsessed with them until they're dead. Otacon wants to be her special prey. And he also pissed his pants. I also want to be Sniper Wolf's special prey and piss my pants right now. I'm pissing currently. Emptying my piss meter. I wish that Sniper Wolf would empty her piss. Even though Sniper Wolf has a weird sexy girl trope, Unlike Meryl, she's actually quite interesting and fleshed out. After defeating her, we get a scene where Snake connects with her and hears her story while she dies. And you actually really feel bad for her even though she was on the other side. It's quite impactful. It's really incredible how this game can go from banana bonkers to serious and sentimental. So Sniper Wolf, the chesty villain character, has a 10-minute long cutscene dedicated to her death, where she gives a bunch of backstory on her character and everything. And in this game, that is actually to be expected. Unless you're Meryl for some reason. Why? Sorry. As I mentioned earlier, Metal Gear Solid is the third game in the series. So obviously there's going to be some backstory to cover. In this case, however, it is optional for the player to get that backstory in the game by looking at extras. This exposition is literally 20 minutes long. Not of any gameplay, but just plain story. This long-winded way of telling the player what has and is happening is a theme throughout the entire game.
Colonel.
Look, it looks like he's wearing a mask. Look at the way his head moves when he's talking.
Hideo Kojima took a lot of inspiration from Western Hollywood films, which heavily showcased his work and set him apart from other developers. In this game, there's an incredible use of cinematic shots, voice acting, and exposition to give it a Hollywood feel.
Can you
Careful, I'm no rookie.
Liar. That nervous glance, that scared look in your eyes. They're rookies' eyes if I ever saw them.
We're about to get our rocked. Has anyone learned how to whisper in this place?
Open that door.
Looks like we'll be a little delayed.
What are you doing? Don't think. Shoot.
This is like watching a movie and playing it. Oh my god!
This use of long cutscenes would not have worked so well if it weren't for the bizarre story behind this game. These cutscenes really drag on, and as someone with ADHD, it did get a little boring sometimes, but it really is a cinematic experience, and it's something that really made the game feel unique to me. Unlike other games from this era, you don't just run into a room and fight some monster without really knowing why or how it pertains to the story. Hideo Kojima took his time fleshing out every detail so the player knows or is curious about how each boss plays a role in the story. Even with this amount of cutscene use and storytelling, this game is not a movie-style game where you make decisions and do an occasional time event. The storytelling in this game isn't the main element and really is just a piece of the pie. Just a piece of the pie that is this Hideo Kojima game. This game still makes great use of gameplay and puzzle mechanics, alongside with the insane storytelling. This game incorporates puzzles in a multitude of ways, all of them interesting and very unique compared to other games around the time. My favorite way they did this, though, is through the boss fights. Each one has their own gimmick that is different from the last. You can call people using your codec to give you hints about the boss fight and on what to do.
Oh! Okay. This seems like it's gonna be a really fair and easy fight.
My personal favorite boss is Ninja. He's the boss from the previous cutscene I showed with Otakon where, he pees himself. And though he's not as famous as another Metal Gear Solid boss, which I will talk about later, I found it very fun to try to figure out what to do in this fight.
I guess, wait, what about the chaff? Disables electronics. Oh! Ha!
Although maybe frustrating.
I think we got him. What? No! Are you serious?
Snake!
So this game has one of the most infamous boss fights of all time, and that is the notorious Psycho Mantis fight. Psycho Mantis is a character who can use psychokinesis and telepathy to control the mind and bodies of others. In this boss fight, he uses Meryl as a puppet to trap Snake, then uses his powers to throw invisible balls of energy at Snake while perfectly avoiding all of his attacks because he can read minds. This boss can see everything that you're about to do before you do it. He's basically invincible. The hints the characters give you on how to beat Psycho Mantis are really cryptic.
A psychic soldier, yes. Although they will not admit it, many countries have paranormal programs and use psychics in their special ops. Psychics range in power from those who can bend spoons to those who can cause natural disasters.
Okay.
But Psycho Mantis is one of the most powerful. Be careful.
Okay, that's the whole advice, huh? Unfortunately, because I was playing the PC port of this game and not playing on the original PlayStation or GameCube version of the game, I missed out on the very reason why this boss fight is notorious.
Now let me read your mind. No, perhaps I should say your past. I can see into your mind. You like Castlevania, don't you?
Basically, he'll go into your memory card and list off games that you've been playing in order to try and intimidate you, the player. This is insanely genius because in order to beat him, you need to plug your controller into the second slot, or plug in a second controller. But since I was playing the PC port, I never got that hint. So instead, I tried this boss fight for so long that the game just told me.
Controller port. Plug your controller into controller port 2.
Oh! So sadly, this is one thing about the game, one of the only things that I can really think of that has really been lost to time. If you're playing this game for the first time and you don't do it on old hardware, which most people wouldn't, then you can't experience this fourth wall breaking moment that made this boss fight so famous. It's sad. Oh no, he's on! No! Oh! 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 No! Why don't they die? Why don't they die? Stop it! One thing that makes Metal Gear Solid stand out against other retro games from the same year is its use of camera. Let's look at Mario 64, for example. Came out just 2 years before Metal Gear Solid, and its camera is the main complaint from today's gamer trying to revisit it. Mario 64's camera aged worse than the jokes in Gex 64.
Reminds me of Halloween at Rip Taylor's.
Who the f is Rip Taylor? They thought really hard about camera placement for this game, and it really paid off. During the development, they used Lego bricks to recreate the level environment so they could better place the camera, using a little one to show zooms to see where it went. Initially, they wanted to make this game feel more realistic by having it be in first-person mode, but Hideo decided against it because it wasn't smooth enough at the time. I absolutely think this was the right call. The game looked and felt smooth. It's honestly so smooth, you'd nearly forget that it's a retro game, if not for the polygonal look.
What's that?
Not my box! This game is basically the daddy of stealth. You technically don't have to stealth all the time, but it creates so much tension and it's so much fun that I don't know if anyone would decide not to use the stealth mechanics in this game. I mean, you can literally hide in a box. That's amazing.
He's pissing. Oh my god, you can see the steam from his piss.
The stealth element of the Metal Gear series is what made them stand out when they were released. Hideo came up with the idea for stealth when trying to solve the problem of the MSX system only being able to display 4 characters at a time during Metal Gear 1's development. Instead of non-stop combat, the player would have the opportunity to flee, and with the added alert system, instead of a game over screen when they were seen, it made it entirely up to the player how they wanted to play. This game, overall, has aged very well, but it still does have its fair share of retro tricks and traps. And I mean that literally. One of the funky things they added to throw you off is trapdoors, which for some reason I could not stop falling into.
Try going down it.
Oh my god, no! No, 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 no! Oh no, no! How do I keep falling for trapdoors? How disappointed do you think the boss of this game would be, though, if the trapdoors that they set, like, literally did work, and that is how Snake died? He's, like, sneaky and badass to the point of fame, but he just, like, meets his demise by a trapdoor. Well, guess that's it. We got him.
I was getting scared.
Ah! I think that I've made it pretty clear that the story in this game is bizarre. It should be of no surprise to find out that the main villain of this game is Snake's evil twin called Liquid Snake. Solid Snake and his evil twin, Liquid Snake. I'm serious. Damn, these characters are all f***ing insane. I love it.
That's right. That's why they want to avoid any leak about their...
It literally sounds like Prince Charming.
Boss.
It sounds so much like him.
Friend is awake.
It looks like Prince Charming too!
There definitely is a resemblance, don't you think, little brother? Or should I say, big brother?
Wait, what the f is
I'm
going on?
not sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You and I are both the last survivors.
Oh my god, it's Liquid Snake!
Big boss.
Why is he British? So basically our hero, Solid Snake, is sent out to a remote island where a special unit known as Foxhound has seized control and is threatening to use a nuclear-capable mecha against the US government if not paid out ransom and given remains of their previous boss, which Snake happened to have killed in the previous games. How his evil twin is mixed in all of this, the boss that he killed was his dad, and he's pissed off because he doesn't know how recessive and dominant genes work, apparently.
You're fine. You got all the old man's dominant genes. I got the flawed recessive gene.
What?
Everything was done so that you would be the greatest of his children.
So now I'm going to talk a bit about the ending of this game, or endings. There's actually two of them. In one ending, the good ending, you ride into the sunset with Meryl. And the bad ending is you ride into the sunset with Otacon. It's funny because I honestly liked the Otacon ending way more. In my opinion, it's way more sentimental. He goes on to tell us what he's learned and who he's going to become, and they have this kind of like pretty exchange between them. I didn't really feel that way about Meryl. She's just kind of there. Otacon is just a better written character all around, and it's funny to me that this is the ending you get for doing bad. And by bad, I mean unable to button mash very good, I guess. The only bad thing about that ending is the fact that I know that Otacon peed his pants earlier, and it's highly likely that he reeks of piss on the back of that Ski-Doo. So maybe that's why it's the bad ending. One thing that is consistent no matter which ending you have is the stats at the end of the game that talk about nuclear warfare. Hideo Kojima is very passionately anti-nuclear bomb. He decided to use this game to platform that. And that's really interesting to me. This game ended up being the 27th most sold game in history, and probably was higher at some point in that list. And it has a message that it's trying to put out to the world. You don't really see that these days. This game aged super well. It was made in a way that was very polished. It's easy to forget playing it that it was made so long ago. The only parts that I can think of that really aged poorly is the fact that the Psycho Mantis fight is lost on the PC port. Playing it on original hardware would be very epic, but also that shit's expensive, so, you know. But it was still fun as it was, and I would definitely play it again. So if you like stories with constant twists and turns, stealth, action, deep plots for each character, and can forgive a bit of cringe dialogue, then Metal Gear Solid is a must-play. It's a classic for a reason, and it has stayed classic. It has rightfully earned its place in the Video Game Hall of Fame, and I can't recommend it enough. Metal Gear Solid is Zoomer approved! Subscribe!